Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of HarlequinCasts Dawn of War 2. Today's episode is really special. This is going to be the first in a series of Meet the Players. Today, we are going to be meeting Mr. Choko Bambus from all the way in Belgrade, Serbia. Choko Bambus, how are you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm a bit tired, preparing a party for my friends tomorrow, so...
Yeah, you were telling me about that, like a big family party or something going on?
Yeah, it's an Orthodox Christian celebration of a saint, a patron saint of a family. So basically I was helping my dad today, yesterday, and the day before that. So I'm a bit tired, but I'm joyful, so...
Nice. So yeah, I've just been, honestly, for everyone who missed out on all of this, we've just been sitting here chatting for quite a while, and it's been a blast. But so, tell me a little bit about your history with Dawn of War. I know you have a very unique style of play, which honestly, when I was first learning about Dawn of War 2 and trying to get into it, one thing that stood out to me was that you had a very map control oriented style of play that just dominated. People had a really hard time dealing with it because you just kind of avoided conflict and just controlled all the victory points. Where did that come from, and have you always played that way, or did you always play as Eldar?
Well, I have been playing as Eldar since Dawn of War 1 Vanilla, and to be honest, I took up Warp Spider Exarch in Dawn of War 2 beta because I found him really cool. He doesn't use psychic powers and whatnot, he uses gadgets and war gear and stuff, and I found it cool. So I don't ride the overpowered wave like people say I do, but whatever. On the other hand, I didn't always play like this. I was more of a pretty straightforward kind of player, wanted to kill more stuff than I lost. But I took up a style of an old friend of mine called Bubai, who was an old clanmate who basically, as an orc player, had a slightly different approach on playing Eldar, and I found it pretty interesting, and I adopted it and settled for a more map control oriented play, and basically that's what got me to a true skill 40 level and top 15 or 20 for a very long time. So thanks to Bubai.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta say, I really enjoyed your style of play there. So, yeah, so tell me a little bit about yourself, by the way. Some of the fun facts I've been learning. So, not only you're from Serbia, which is great, you're actually very far into the future. You are 6 hours into the future from me. You like to tango dance. Is this correct? I believe you gave me some visual proof of that one day as well.
Yeah, well, basically, when I was second year at university, I took up tango dancing and Spanish classes. I wanted to be like all Latino and stuff. Basically, my aunt was a tango dancer. Well, she's a musician, but she also played tango, and she got me into it as well. I fell in love, and I have been dancing for like 5 years now, so I'm pretty solid at it.
Yeah, and you've got like a pretty serious like tango. I mean, it sounds like you are pretty hooked up and know where to go to tango dance. You were just dancing a little while ago, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the scene in Belgrade is pretty solid, and to be honest, it's one of the largest scenes in southeastern Europe, considering tango dancing. And basically, we have two great events a year here, and one of those was last weekend, actually, where the whole last week, and we basically danced our asses off, and it was really fun.
And I almost forgot. I'm sure more people like me want to know this, but tell us exactly where the name Choko Bambus comes from, exactly, because I couldn't believe that.
Well, actually, it's a story from like 10 years ago. We were playing Counter-Strike, one team against the other, which was on the other side of town. And basically, there was a chick, and considering we were kids, we wanted to kill the chick all the time. And we were like, ha ha ha, suck this, eat this, ha ha ha, you're dead. And basically, Choko Bambus means a chocolate dick, if it's translated literally into English. It's Serbian slang, so...
Chocolate dick. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God, I love it. All right, so... Oh, yeah?
That's why I'm using chocolata on the forums, so it's not really insulting.
Oh,
even though people don't understand.
You took the second part of it out, so you just went straight with the chocolate aspect of it on the forums. That makes a little bit more sense. All right. Well, in today's matchup, we have you playing as the Warp Spider Exarch, which is no surprise there, and your opponent today, Mr. Moonsugar, is going to be playing as the Hive Tyrant for the Tyranids here. You're both really highly ranked up there. I think today you were 7th on the ladder, he's 12th, and you're within like 20 points of each other. You're both around like 2150 LO rating. Going into this matchup, what kind of things do you think when you're playing against a really high-level Tyranid player?
Well, I think that I'm going to have to work really hard to beat him. I think that I can afford very little mistakes. That I have to compete with map control all the time. I can't really dominate him because Tyranids are really fast at capping, and they do really huge pressure on your generator farm. So it's kind of a trade-off. You can't really wander off very far from your generator farm, but on the other hand, you have to compete for map control and cap points and victory points all the time. So it's really hard and it's really frustrating, and it helps that I'm playing Warp Spider Exarch. So
just to stay mobile. And speaking of Warp Spider Exarch, what with the recent patch, with the 3.14 patch, I'm not going to talk about the two little ones, but with the recent patch that came out, the Warp Spider Exarch range damage went down and the improved targeters cost went up. How has that affected your early game versus Tyranids?
Well, against Tyranids and against Orcs, actually, I compensated by building double Guardians and not making a Banshee squad early on. Of course, nerfed Thermaguns and shooters really helped that style of play, and basically I'm using Warp Spider Exarch as a force melee kind of guy, and as a map control freak, and I'm using Guardians to kill stuff instead of the Warp Spider Exarch. But on the other hand, I think it's fine. Looking at the grand scheme of things, and I think they missed nerfing Phase Shift and a Gravity Grenade on Retreat, but that's the last two things that are making him kind of over the top in certain situations. But basically my motto has always been, okay, it's nerfed, whine that it's nerfed, complain that it's nerfed, but try to play better. So
motto has been to complain loudly but adapt anyways. I agree with that, at least. That makes sense. All right, so let's go ahead and get this game started. I'll give a quick countdown here and we'll unpause. So 3, 2, 1, click. And the game is off. So you were saying you're going to start this off with double Guardians, and spoiler alert, because I know we've both seen this replay before, you go into double Shuriken. So what's the decision behind that exactly?
Well, to be honest, I used to play Eldar against Tyranids with one Guardian, one Banshee, and double Rangers. And it worked pretty well because I could rely on targeters, improved targeters for the Warp Spider Exarch to deal some damage mid-tier 1. But since it got nerfed and it's a bit overpriced at the moment to buy it really early, I compensated by building double Guardians to focus fire stuff. And to be honest, with the Termagant nerf that happened not too long ago, Guardians can go toe-to-toe with them and fight back, so it works. And to be honest, I'm using double Shurikens because there's nothing else you can really make against Hive Tyrant, which I scouted, so I reacted with double Shurikens.
And so is that why your opening is just grab double power nodes and upgrade double power nodes right off the bat?
Well, I do that because I don't want the Tyranid player to go after my generator farm, because as Eldar, the only real weakness in tier 1 is losing your power farm early, and basically every race can do it, from Space Marines to Chaos, so basically I minimize the risk of losing generators.
Gotcha. Instead of having a stronger power node, that makes sense. And I see you've successfully garrisoned your Warp Spider Exarch up there just to kind of drive away the horde a little bit. I notice he's moving around in one big blob there, so yeah, so just
usually play.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, just anytime you want, just let me know what you're thinking or what's going on. A little bit of fighting on both sides of the map right now. We've got the Hormagaunts here. We're messing around with that power node, but again, not able to quite take that down right now. It looks like you just went ahead and just totally retreated out of there. Didn't want to even deal with that.
Yeah, because Guardians are pretty squishy without battle equipment. I usually retreat early. I just harass, stall for a bit of time to get my first Shuriken out, and I bail. Get the hell out of dodge. So
yeah, I noticed that throughout in a lot of your replays that you're very strategic about your retreats, and you'll just retreat without hesitating if it benefits you. So I think that's pretty cool. And now we can see your first Shuriken cannon is out on the field right now. Pretty good positioning there too. It's going to be able to cover that whole area.
Yeah, well, I wasn't really using my Shurikens perfectly in this game because I wasn't really using them to cover each other, so I got a bit wrecked with, when Raveners came out, but I did pretty okay. But this guy is really good. I mean, he's a really good tournament player, has perfect army movement sense, and he retreats on time all the time. I don't think I killed a single squad in this replay. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys don't lose anything for quite a long time. And he does seem to put together, you said it right, my impressions of this game where he put together a very perfect army. His build order seems spot on. Like, even the second that he saw your Shuriken team, you could see he has a Ravener Brood already out on the field getting ready for that.
yeah, he's a top player, definitely, and I don't want to... I want to give credit where credit is due, because really, man, I had to work really hard this game.
Oh, and there we see, there's the Raveners popping up, and I see what you mean. You had the one squad kind of to the north, not quite covering the second squad.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna finish the cap off, but apparently I didn't, so...
It's cool, plenty more time for that. So you've got double Guardians down south. It looks like at least two of them are upgrading right now, I think. Yeah, both of them are getting battle equipment.
Yeah, their power raises exponentially when they get this sort of thing, because they can fleet of foot and survive, they can throw grenades and retreat, and basically they can stand and shoot us they would usually have to get away from in 3 or 4 seconds. So.
Gotcha. And so right now you had that Warp Spider Exarch all the way up north, and he was just kind of harassing away. Ooh, we see some grenade action down south as well there. I see
how he dodges perfectly.
Yeah.
He doesn't dodge to the side too much because he wants to engage Guardians ASAP to avoid focus fire. So once I saw that, I knew that I had my work cut out for me. So.
I always like that idea of like judging your opponent based on the first couple of little micro moves that they make. I know that applies to many video games. So right now, trying to get the decap off on that wreck point, and just kind of covering for your guys down south right now. And now, it seems like you're in a tough position right now because your units are kind of spread all over the place. But this is kind of the game that you like, isn't it? I mean, you like kind of harassing on all sides and whatnot.
Yeah, I like to build up a cache of victory point supply, so I don't have to rush in tier 2. Because usually, in my style of play, I want my opponent in tier 2 to split up so I can gank on him. Because
Gotcha.
even with Warp Spider Exarch, I sometimes like to use webways to move instantly across the map. So.
Oh, I saw that, yeah, in another game of yours, and you were using him, and I remember thinking that, oh, I almost never see webways outside of Farseer, and you definitely use that in your other Eldar matchup, which I'll probably cast some point in the future anyways, because it was a great game.